Welcome back, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here, and Creepy Uncle Joe gives us another gem. Second Amendment does not say you're entitled to own a gun. Now, I call me crazy if you want, but I believe when it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, literally says that I'm entitled to own a firearm. The founders, as I've said before, were very intelligent people. They specifically phrased the Second Amendment as they did because they had already seen technological advances when it comes to firearms. There were repeater rifles, which far outstrip muskets or flintlocks or any cap and ball firearm. There was the puckle gun, and they knew that technology would continue to increase, so they phrased it the way they did. If you go with the strictest, most originalist interpretation, any form of firearm weapon on the planet, the people have a right to own. The only reasonable restriction under that is the price. Can you afford an M1A tank or an F-35 Tomcat? If not, you need to save your money. But under the interpretation of the Second Amendment as it is written, I should be allowed to purchase an M16, but I'm not. And a lot of the reason we have these idiots saying these things now is that there have been restrictions put in place that have not been fought. And a few of them I agree with. If you are a proven violent person, domestic violence conviction, murder conviction, things like that, aggravated assaults, assault at a certain point, you should not be allowed to, in my mind, intermingle with society. But you should not be able to be armed because you have proven yourself incapable of the responsibility that that weapon brings to the owner. The problem is that now Democrats have basically said, well, we've been able to get certain things through. Let's just keep pushing and pushing and calling everyone names when they push back. What he said here is, there are so many other things we can do to make schools safer, other than arming teachers. He did not specify, however, what those other things are, and pivoted to the next question. This is the same as Kamala when she was talking about allowing felons in prison to vote. She's at a town hall where she is there to answer questions, and her answer was, well, we can have that conversation. I really wish someone had stood up and said, well, Senator, let's have that conversation right now. You're here to have a conversation with the people you want to vote for you. And they never will. Recently, Joe has been slurring his words and so much more that a lot of people are wondering if he's even healthy. If you look at Joe and Donald Trump, they're very close in age, yet Joe looks 20 to 25 years older than Donald Trump, and this is 2 years into Trump's presidency. Look at George W. Bush, look at Barack Obama. 2 years into their first term, they had aged 10. By the end of their second term, they had aged 30 to 35 years. You can see the job takes a toll. But Trump is a different animal. You see, he thrives in these high-pressure situations. Honestly, I believe he's enjoying this. And Joe is trying to spread lies and trying to basically demand obedience. When the person who is pretty much infamous for saying, you don't need a gun or anything but a shotgun, just fire a couple of blasts through the doors and they'll run. So Joe in Chicago or LA or Dallas, Atlanta, New York, where a lot of people live in apartments, you're just supposed to fire a couple of shots of double-aught buck through your door that may go through a person to scare off a would-be attacker, as opposed to having a .45 caliber or a 9mm or any other small arm, and the threat of force being enough to stop the attack. There's a rather well-made ad where a young lady is sitting at home. She lives alone, and you can tell from the ad. She starts her television, picks up her bowl of popcorn, and there's a knock on the door. Look through the peephole, no one there. So she goes back. There's a knock on the door. Look through the peephole, no one there. So she retreats to her bedroom, retrieves her sidearm, her pistol, sits back down. This time the door starts rattling violently. So she backs up, takes aim at the door. As soon as it's knocked open, the attacker, the would-be attacker, stops in his tracks and passes out. This is what firearms, well, gun grabbers, would not want you to understand. The mere threat of force de-escalates a lot of the situations. There is no need to fire because the mere threat of force causes your would-be attacker to run because they know you're now more than equal to the task of defending your life and your home and your family. But, of course, they don't care. I've come back to this on a lot of the stories. When you look at the anti-gun crowd, these are the people who demand that abortion just be a right, and that socialism reign supreme, and that reparations be made, and that everyone be given by the government a quote-unquote living wage. They support the $90+ trillion idea that is the Green New Deal. All of these things are predicated on higher and higher and higher taxes. Until they have the money, they can't do them. And the problem is they know they can't just implement police state control, wherein you're not allowed to do anything but go to work, eke out an existence, sleep. Go to work, eke out an existence, sleep, so that you can pay your taxes. And they know they can't do that until they have done several things. One, fully and completely disarm the entire population of the U.S. Save criminals, of course. Criminals won't be disarmed until they're shot by police or in jail. They have to replace the police force and the military because right now, the law enforcement community and the military are going to stand with the people, not with a tyrannical government. So they'll want to put their own people in place. Once all that's done, it will be knocks on your door at any hour of the day demanding your firearms be turned over. Those who don't comply will be jailed or worse. As I've mentioned in other videos, there's already been a man, I believe, in Connecticut, shot and killed while police were serving a so-called red flag law warning that ultimately turned out that man had won an argument. He had not made threats. He was not a danger to anyone. He simply won an argument. And the idiot who lost the argument decided I'll punish him by telling people he threatened me. And, of course, nothing will be done to the idiot because it's now his word against the word of a dead man. No one can prove that that man did not do what the other man is saying. The judge is not going to rule against the reporter because that would mean the red flag law, failed. And they don't want that to happen because then their reputation as a judge is on the line. It's a massive, massive cliff that we're about to be pushed over. This is not a slippery slope. This is a cliff we're about to be pushed off of. The AR-15 platform is not an assault weapon. It never has been, not under the 1994 AWB, and not under any other version of it. You see, the 1994 assault weapon ban banned automatic and select fire rifles. That would be the M16 and other military grade, which means very expensive, fully automatic rifles. The AR-15 was originally pitched to the United States Army in the 1960s and rejected because the Army rightly knew that a semi-automatic only rifle was stupid when going into war. So they had someone build them the M16. The AR platform was then marketed to civilians. And it does work very well for hunting and competition shooting and home defense. If someone breaks into my home and they see me holding that AR-15, they're going to run. If they see me holding a pistol, they may think they have time to disarm me. They'll be stupid if they think that, but they may. That AR is a clear and very loud message of, you messed up. Mine sits in a safe. That's what it does. The only time I have brought it out of that safe is to clean it and to take it to the range for some range time to sight in a new set of optics. And the only time after this that I will say for sure I'll take it out is to go to competition. It will come out of the safe, go into a hard shell case. I'll drive to the competition. I'll return. I'll clean it. I'll put it up. I don't walk around with an AR-15. If I carry, it's a smaller weapon, because open carry in my mind is stupid. But all of them serve a purpose, and all of them at their core serve the same purpose: defense from tyrants. And when anyone says, I'm running for president, and no, you don't have a right to own a gun, that should throw up the biggest red warning light of them all, that they are a want-to-be tyrant. There's an old saying that when the government fears its citizens, there's freedom. When the citizens fear their government, there is tyranny. 240 odd years ago, the British told us to give up our guns. After Lexington and Concord, we fought a brutal war, and we kicked the British out. 240 odd years after that, our own elected leaders are telling us to give up our guns. And sadly, we now have, after several decades of indoctrination in place of education, people believe that this idiot is right, and they happily hand over the best and only tool that will allow them to defend themselves from a tyrant. But I've talked long enough. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Just remember, keep it civil. We don't learn from an argument, we learn from debate. As always, please remember to like and share this video, as well as to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you are among the first to know of any and all new content as it is posted. Until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.